Welcome everybody, my name is Mr. Hollywood, and tonight I'm going to show you how to get set up for your Asteroids Spinner games, the newly image I uploaded, and I just added in Space Duel to the image. So if you downloaded the previous one, it's been updated with the addition of that game. If you do want that, just re-download the image. So let's get started here. I'm using the Glen Retro Show Spinner, the GRS Spinner. I have the version 1. I know there's version 2 out there, but either one is fine that you have. They'll work perfectly fine here in this build. And you're not going to need any additional joysticks on here, no other analog controls. We'll be able to navigate everything with our spinner. And it'll be a clean, nice build, just like the stock on here, with added games for additional button games, additional spinner games. So let's get into it. First, once you load up the get everything booted up, you'll be at your main screen like this. We're going to exit out as always. We press escape, click yes, and you'll be out on the command line on here, which you just need to type out emulation station, and that'll take us to emulation station where we're gonna set up and configure our controls. The first thing that's gonna pop out is this box here telling you guys to set up the controls. I recommend setting up your keyboard first so you're able to navigate all the menus. Set that up. Once you do, hit start and then go back to configuration again, and this time we're going to set up our controls. Now for the spinner, you don't have to do anything. Once it's plugged in, RetroPie will recognize it and all, so there's no installing or adding any drivers. Everything's done for you. But what we do need to add in is our buttons. So you will need a USB encoder on here, and you also need to have either a 4-way joystick, 4-pin joystick, or a 5-pin San Juan joystick, or even just buttons. 4 regular buttons you could plug in there, because when you configure the buttons, you could skip buttons, but you can't skip the directions. You do need the up, down, left, right, and you could discard the joystick or the buttons once you're done configuring that, because we're not going to need it. But in the initial setup, you will. Okay, so make sure you do have those plugged in, either the 4 buttons or a joystick. Once you do that, set up all your buttons on there, configure those. Really doesn't matter which buttons where, because we're going to be changing the buttons in our main menu by pressing tab and accessing that to change our buttons. So it really doesn't matter what you configure, as long as you get all the buttons set up. Once that's done, in the RetroPie menu, as always, go to Raspberry config. You want to go in the advanced settings, resize the image, enable SSH, then set up your Wi-Fi. Once you've got all that done, let's go to RetroArch. The only thing we'll be doing in RetroArch here is setting up our exit key, exit with the hotkey. So come down to settings, press A, then go down to input, press A again, and hotkey binds, hit A. And then you want to look for the one that says quit RetroArch. Okay, you want to configure that button, whichever one you're using. If you're using a combo with the hotkey, or you're using a single dedicated button, you'll make that and your hotkey as the same one. So configure that. Once that's set, you're going to back out to the main menu, go down to configuration, press A, and then save current configuration on there, hit A, and then once you're done, back out, and then we could quit RetroArch. Now for the spinner, you do need one of these 12-in-1 interface boards so we could get the USB going. These things are $12, great price, and these will work with your spinner, your GRS trackball, even the stock Golden Tee trackball. So very good tool. And then also make sure you get one of these mini USB cables. This does not come with the board. I believe they're only like I got this one for like $9. They sent me 3 of them, so I was able to use it for my Centipede, Golden Tee, and my Asteroids. Make sure you use the right wire, because a lot of times if the spinner, if it's not being recognized, this is the main reason why you might have mini USB that's doesn't transfer the data on there, and so it's not the spinner itself, but it's this wire. You might have the incorrect one, and this is how it should be set up to the board. On top you'll see there's P1, P2. I use the P1. Connect that's where the spinner connects. And on the bottom there's nothing. That's if you were using the stock board to the 12-in-1. And then on the bottom is your USB cable. On the spinner, we do need to make a slight adjustment, and this is only if you're using it as a USB. And the RetroPie, you'll see there's this small plastic wrapper on the bottom right of the spinner there, which you just need to peel off. Generally they'll be on there, so you just peel that off, and then there'll be 3 switches. If you can see on the bottom right here, you just gotta switch them to the on position. By default, all 3 of them will be off, so it's these 3 small micro switches on there that you just gotta switch to the on position. Now there are some games that are just button games, so all you have to do is set up the buttons. There's no spinner or joystick on here. Hit tab once you're in the game. You'll see dip switches. You could also check for free play on here if the game has free play. If not, you go to input this game from the menu, and then you'll set up your player 1 as both your coin and start button. Same thing with player 2, and then just configure the buttons that the game uses. Generally it'll either be like left and right with a fire button, or a game like Asteroids as the buttons. When it comes to the spinner games, on the menu, it'll be displayed like this. It'll have additional line under the dip switches. It'll say analog, the analog controls. That means it is using a spinner, and this is where we would configure our sensitivity on the spinner. So you'll have to mess around with that. If it's going too slow, obviously you got to bump it up, or if it's too fast, you may want to bring it down a bit on the percentage. And the only one that you need to make adjustment is the sensitivity percentage. The analog, the top there is only for like keyboard or joystick controls, and then the one below that is generally going to be off. I think maybe a game like Major Havoc might have that on, because they used a trackball than a spinner. But if you see a guy is moving right but should be going left, then you switch this. But generally should be on off. So the only one, like I said, that we're going to be making any type of adjustments is the sensitivity percentage. Okay, now one additional thing, on the image you're going to be fine, but if let's say you were doing a clean build on here, one step that a lot of people miss or don't input to make this spinner work is by adding this in the command line. If you press F4 from the main menu, it'll take you to the command line, and type sudo space nano space /boot /cmdline.txt and hit enter. And once we're here, we're going to scroll all the way to the right to the end of the line, and make sure you stay on the line. Do not hit enter or come down. You hit space at the end, and then what you're going to need to type out is USB HID dot mouse poll POLL equals and then the number 2. It's very important that this is inputted on here. Now on the image it should already be there. If you see that, then it's fine. If not, input that, and this makes a huge difference as far as your spinner. What it is the spinner is so fast, and the RetroArch device, I guess, does not read it quick enough. It's almost as if like back in the day, if you're watching like a I don't know, old western movie, like where the film is going, but it seems almost like it's going backwards. It's pretty much the same concept. So this will fix that, and I'm gonna show you an example here. First, I'm gonna run a game like Tempest, and without this in the command line, and then one with it. Okay, and I'm gonna bump Tempest to the highest setting, sensitivity all the way to 250, the highest it goes. You'll see the speed on here is, I mean, it's playable, but it's really not where we want to be. So let's take a look here. First, I'm going to show you without having the mouse pull in that command line. Alright, so as I spin it here, it goes around, but not as quick as it should be, the way the spinner is spinning. And this is with sensitivity all the way up. You know, if I bring it down, it would even be going slower. So I'm spinning this full speed, but it's really, you know, it's almost like the stock spinner on there. I mean, it's playable, but... And then once we have that inputted, as you could see, it's spinning how it should be on there. I actually may need to bring the sensitivity down a bit, but it's configured to be great. So that's pretty much to it. Just run through the games on there. Back at the menu, also I want to show you guys how to be able to navigate with the spinner. You're going to hit tab from the menu, and then you're going to come down to controls. You know, you have the displays there if you want to change your layout, but we're going to go to controls to configure the spinner to navigate. You'll see the different controls, the select button, and depending which layout you're using. I'm using the one that's up and down, so you're going to want to make the up as a left spin and a down right. So you click on one of those and you do add input, and then just spin the spinner either to the left or to the right, and it will add mouse left and mouse right, you know, for your up and down, or left and right if you're using the other theme layout. Also in the controls on the very bottom, you'll see a mouse threshold. This is how fast the menu will be. It's not going to affect the game, it's just on the menu, and you do need to reboot for it to actually, you know, work on here. And it's different than the sensitivity. The higher the numbers, actually the slower it's gonna go. So but make sure you reboot. And that's it. That does it on here. You know, just mess around with the different sensitivity on the games. I'll actually post in the comments of this video with a list of the spinner games, and then if anybody wants to run through those, what you feel the sensitivity should be at. There's a site also that talks a little bit more of that. You guys, if you guys want to, you know, get some additional info. But let's make like a, I guess, you know, a set sensitivity here, and then I could even update the image to have this as a default. You know, let me know what you guys think. But everything else, like I said, is pretty much same as all the other builds. But that takes care of that, man. Enjoy.